And honestly, Farm Fresh came from actually Launch. Like several of the ventures and the people that I work with actually came from being involved in Launch. And that is one of the reasons that I think a space like this, you know, it needs to be cultivated and people need to be in there. Not necessarily because like the cost savings are great, don't get me wrong. For like a subcontractor having meeting rooms and everything else like that with an office, like that's good and all, that's great. Mm-hmm. But like the real magic of a co-working space comes from having entrepreneurs in here and having them bump into each other and having them share ideas and having them share expertise, and businesses just naturally get formed out of that because you have a lot of really motivated individuals, and they, you know, a lot of people think they can do everything great. And you know, I would like to say that there are some things I do really well, but I'm also, I think, a good jack of all trades. Mm-hmm. You know how to do everything but master none. But sure. Not quite to that extent, but I think I'm a pretty good jack of all trades. And I think you run into people that are masters in their trade in a co-work space like this, in that if you can combine the right combination of individuals, you can really make some success happen. Yeah. So I think, you know, that's kind of where I started growing from One Beyond is I have 1,000 ideas. I have like an idea book that I just write everything down in because I don't want to forget it, or my inventions or anything else I come up with. I'm sketching it all out and writing out how would I make a business model out of this, and it just naturally happens. I can't really explain it. I see something, I think I want to help or want to fix things. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like part of my drive is I'm like, okay, there's a problem here. And I'm not a complainer. I don't want to complain about the problem. Like, how do we fix this problem? Yep. And I think that's kind of where a lot of these ventures stem from. Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you your check after the interview for the Launch exposure there. Appreciate that. It's honest though. Like I'm not saying that because we're having this interview. Like me and Brian Jackson, when we formed Farm Fresh, we were sitting at the bar, you know, tabletop that's over there, and I think he was growing hops because he wanted to sell hops for home brewers and stuff. And he's like, man, you know, how am I going to sell this? And then we were talking about just local food, you know, is grown in the area. And I was like, man, how do you even know the quality or like what's out there and stuff like that? Like how does that even happen? How do you even know what the price is until you venture across town and go to a stand and see what's at that stand? Like, how do you know all this information? And he's like, I don't know. And then we're just like, there's got to be an app for that. You know, there's an app for everything. Yeah. So then we did a bunch of research, and there was nothing, or what was out there was extremely unuseful. And we're like, I can't believe this isn't out here. And we started brainstorming business ideas and everything else like that, and it went from there. So like, again, not to give Launch a shout out, but that stuff just happens when you have entrepreneurs in a co-work space together. Mm-hmm. And even better, you know, I've had a lot of help from entrepreneurs just because they're in the area, because you can, you know, like I said, my Achilles heel was marketing, and we would have some awesome marketers in here, and I would just, instead of setting up a session and paying, you know, whatever fees to consult and all this, I'd be like, hey, Rebecca, what would you do in this situation? Well, you should probably do this. That's an excellent idea. You know what I mean? It's just those types of connection, that type of help just happens when you have entrepreneurs, or, you know, even not everyone in here was an entrepreneur. Some are just awesome subcontractors that usually work from home, but they have an awesome skill set in something. Mm-hmm. And those things just happen when you have them all in the same space.